They say death is only the beginning. But for the ancient Greeks, that beginning was a twisted, terrifying journey through the underworld. What did they believe happened to us after death? And why was the journey so terrifying? Let's go down the River Styx and uncover the secrets of the Greek underworld. Ancient Greeks had a very structured view of the afterlife. This journey wasn't a peaceful passing into another world. It was a rigorous, often terrifying trial through the underworld. The Greek afterlife was more than just a final resting place. It was a reflection of your life's choices, behavior, and alignment with society's values and the gods' expectations. So, why did the Greeks create such a complicated picture of the afterlife? To the ancient Greeks, life was precious, but it was always under the watchful eyes of their gods. In a society where divine figures influenced everything from weather to love, it's no wonder that they also controlled what happened after death. But unlike modern religions that offer paradise for the good or punishment for the wicked, Greek mythology didn't have a universal heaven or hell. Instead, the Greeks believed that every soul must face trials, regardless of their moral standing. The underworld's divisions, levels, and inhabitants were part of a system that placed judgment at the center of the afterlife. It didn't matter if you were a hero or a common farmer. Every soul went through a journey designed to assess and ultimately define their place in eternity. And if you were unlucky, there were plenty of horrors waiting in the underworld to give you a taste of divine punishment. So, let's get into this journey from life to death, starting with the very moment the soul leaves the body. In Greek beliefs, the psyche, or soul, was the life force that left the body at the moment of death. This psyche was often imagined as a faint, ghostly version of the person, preserving their image, but lacking physical substance. This belief in a shadowy version of oneself is both eerie and intriguing, as it suggests that the Greeks saw the afterlife as a reflection of earthly existence, but with a darker, spectral twist. In some myths, it's said that the god Hermes, acting as a psychopomp, would guide these souls toward the underworld. Hermes wasn't just the messenger of the gods, he was a guide for the dead, leading them to their new realm and ensuring they didn't wander lost between life and death. This role gave Hermes a unique position in Greek culture, as he was one of the few gods who traveled freely between the mortal and divine realms. The soul's first big challenge in the afterlife was crossing the River Styx. The Styx was more than just a body of water. It was a boundary separating the living from the dead. It was dark, cold, and foreboding, symbolizing the finality of death and the irreversibility of crossing over. Charon's role. The Ferryman. Charon was tasked with transporting souls across the river, but he didn't do it for free. He required an obol, a small coin, as payment. This led to the ancient Greek tradition of placing a coin in the mouth or on the eyes of the deceased. Without this payment, the soul would be stranded at the river's edge, doomed to wander for eternity. Charon was described as gruff and unsympathetic, a figure who cared nothing for the living or the dead, only for his duty. His demand for payment wasn't just a ritual, it was a reminder of the cost of passage and the importance of preparing oneself for the afterlife. Souls left without a coin were said to haunt the living, unable to find peace. After crossing the Styx, souls didn't just enter a waiting room or a paradise, they faced judgment. The underworld's judges, Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Aeacus, determined each soul's fate. But these judges weren't arbitrary. They were once mortal kings known for their fairness and wisdom. Aeacus judged European souls. Rhadamanthus took charge of Asian souls. Minos served as the final authority, dealing with particularly complex cases and deciding on final rulings. The Greeks believed this judgment was fair and just, an assessment based on one's earthly life and alignment with societal and divine rules. This wasn't a straightforward good or bad assessment. Instead, the judges looked at each life's nuance, weighing virtues, sins, and individual complexities. The underworld was divided into distinct realms that reflected different aspects of existence. It wasn't just a singular place. It was a vast, complex domain with its own geography and societies. Each area had its unique purpose, and where a soul ended up depended on their life's deeds. The Elysian Fields. This was the closest thing to paradise. Only heroes, demigods, and exceptionally virtuous souls could enter Elysium. Here they enjoyed a blissful existence, free from suffering, often in a serene, sunlit environment. Souls in Elysium had access to pleasures reminiscent of earthly life, but without any of its burdens. Some myths even suggest that Elysium offered souls the choice of reincarnation, allowing them to return to Earth for another life. Tartarus. Reserved for the wicked, Tartarus was the underworld's deepest, darkest realm. This was where the truly monstrous souls were sent for eternal punishment. Some notable figures in Tartarus include Sisyphus, eternally pushing a boulder up a hill only for it to roll down every time it neared the top, and Tantalus, forever tormented by food and water he could never consume. These punishments were specifically tailored to each individual's sins, making Tartarus a realm of karmic justice. Asphodel Meadows. The Asphodel Meadows were a neutral ground, a place for souls who hadn't been particularly good or evil. Souls here existed in a gray, bland state where there was neither suffering nor joy. This realm was a limbo-like existence, where souls lingered in mediocrity, reliving memories of their earthly lives but with no pleasure or progress. The river Lethe was an integral part of the underworld. In Greek, Lethe means forgetfulness, and drinking from this river caused souls to lose all memories of their previous lives. This was particularly relevant for those in the Asphodel Meadows, who drank to erase memories of earthly experiences, freeing them from past attachments and regrets. The Lethe also played a role in reincarnation. Souls who drank from it in Elysium had their memories erased to prepare for a new life. This concept of forgetting and rebirth shows how the Greeks viewed life as a cyclical process, with death as just one stage in an endless journey. Next up, we'll explore what it took for a soul to escape the underworld. Because yes, some daring figures actually tried. Greek mythology has stories of mortals and gods alike attempting to defy the laws of the underworld. Each attempt added to the mystery of the underworld and emphasized its inescapable nature. One of the most famous stories of attempted escape involved Orpheus, a musician of legendary talent. Grieving the loss of his wife, Eurydice, Orpheus traveled to the underworld and played music so moving that even Hades and Persephone, the rulers of the underworld, were touched. They allowed Eurydice to return to the land of the living on one condition. Orpheus couldn't look back at her until they'd fully exited the underworld. Tragically, Orpheus doubted and looked back too soon, losing her forever. These two heroes ventured into the underworld on a foolish mission to kidnap Persephone, the queen of the dead. They believed they could outsmart Hades, but were ultimately captured and punished. Theseus was eventually rescued, but Pirate House remained bound in the underworld as punishment for his hubris. These stories emphasize that the underworld wasn't meant to be defied. Its rules were unbreakable, and even the most heroic figures faced dire consequences for trying to escape. For the Greeks, the climax of the journey after death was the moment of judgment, where all mortal deeds and virtues were assessed. Facing Minos, Rhadamanthus, and Iacchus represented the ultimate reckoning, a moment of accountability that no soul could avoid. This judgment was crucial as it defined the soul's place for eternity and encapsulated Greek beliefs in justice, balance, and moral consequence. In this judgment, the Greeks saw the embodiment of their values, the importance of a life well lived, adherence to social and divine laws, and respect for justice. It was a moment that highlighted the Greek view of life and the universe as a balanced system, where every action had a consequence and every life had its rightful place. In Greek mythology, death wasn't a simple end, but a carefully structured journey filled with trials, tests, and judgments. From the moment a soul departed its earthly body to its final judgment before the three judges, each stage of this journey reflected the values and beliefs of ancient Greek culture. The underworld wasn't just a realm of punishment, it was a domain of balance and fairness, where each soul was given a fate that matched its earthly life. For the Greeks, this journey was a reflection of life itself, a path filled with challenges, choices, and ultimate consequences. The underworld captured the Greek sense of justice, morality, and respect for the divine. If you found this journey into the Greek underworld fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments. Would you dare to cross the River Styx And where do you think you'd end up? Elysium, Tartarus, or the Asphodel Meadows? Stay tuned for more incredible tales from the world of Greek mythology and beyond.